Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel on finding your path to your best emotional and physical health. Don't forget to download my 5 free videos that give you some tips on finding your best emotional and physical health and give you a good foundation of where to start. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up so you can get notified of videos coming out, and be sure to ask any questions that you have as we go along. I will try to get to them in a question and answer session or answer them directly on the videos. So please let me know what things you are interested in and what you're looking for. So with that, I just wanted to get into today's topic. Today's topic is an ongoing one of attachment and childhood trauma and healing, because we've talked about how relationships are so important to our overall physical and emotional health. So it's important for us to kind of understand where some of those problems come from, and then how can we heal them or change them in our current everyday life, because our relationships are going to help us with our emotional health. And if you watched the last video, you kind of know that how it will, that attachment and connection to another human being can help us change our physical health as well. So I want to start by getting into the 3 main attachment styles, and we'll talk about the 4th one as well, and then kind of get into more details in subsequent videos, so that once you figure out which one you think you might be, or which one you know, maybe somebody you're dating, then you can kind of figure out what you want to focus on. So there are, depending on what school of thought you're thinking of, 3 main attachment styles. The 4th one is actually a combination of 2. And of course, the ideal one is the secure attachment style, and we're going to get into that one last. But people that have had childhood trauma or difficulty with their parents or things early on may have one of 2 disrupted attachment styles, or 3 if you have the one that's the most disorganized, which is actually a combination of the 2 other ones. So let's get into those. So avoidant is one of them. So avoidant, or sometimes it's called dismissing. That is just another term for it, but they are avoiding attachment because attachment has been painful. And these are the kind of people that are sending mixed signals, may devalue other people, especially when they get close. They value boundaries and distance. That's real important to them. Independence is important to them. They tend to withdraw after a disagreement and find it as a way to set more boundaries between people. And they often have some rigid rules, and they feel that their life has to be this way, and they have a difficulty with flexibility. And these can also come out with a number of personality disorders. Not that everybody has a personality disorder when it comes to some of these attachment issues, but they can develop, on the very far end of the spectrum, very difficult ways of being that are pervasive in all of their relationships. For the most part, people can have these and still kind of maintain some sense of a relationship, and they can function okay. And you might not know until you get close that you see these patterns in people, and you're starting to think, oh, that's a problem. And you can see them in work relationships and friendships, as well as romantic relationships, sometimes also in familial relationships. But the beauty of some of these things is they can be healed or improved upon. You may always have a tendency towards one attachment style or the other, but you may be able to make it work a little bit better once you understand it. So that's avoidant or dismissive. Anxious is the next one. So anxious is the one that's like clingy and sometimes seen as needy, that they're always kind of playing games for attention because they need that closeness. They're often preoccupied with relationships. They're worried about rejection. They see everything as, pushing someone away. Okay, and they fear small acts will ruin the relationships, and everything is about the relationship. Those are the ones that tend to always be in a relationship. Now, the interesting thing about these 2 styles that we just talked about is sometimes that people that have a tendency actually to be more secure may be triggered, and I've seen this happen, it's happened to me, where they can get triggered by the behaviors of another person into one of the other attachment styles. And if you have a tendency to be in one of the other attachment styles, even though you're primarily secure, but you may have a little bit of drifting over into one of the others, you can actually be triggered, depending on what's going on in your life and the kind of stressors, into one of these other attachment styles. Someone that is avoidant can really easily trigger the anxious feelings and an anxious attachment style. Whether or not you totally act that out or just have those feelings, we see that a lot. And that happens a lot in dating, especially now, because avoidants are more likely in the dating pool because they have a hard time maintaining relationships, believe it or not. And then the anxious ones are also tend to be a little bit in the dating pool because they can wear out relationships where they pick the wrong people or they get triggered easy and that kind of thing as well. So the very last one, which is of course the ideal one, is the secure attachment style. And that's someone that is a little bit more balanced and they can deal with things a little bit more flexible. They communicate much better. They are going to make decisions with you in a relationship. They're the ones that are reliable and consistent. They're going to compromise. They're not afraid of commitment. They introduce you to your friends and family early if you're doing the dating thing, those kinds of things. They don't view the relationship so much as work or work in a bad way. I mean, having to work through a relationship always is going to have challenges, but they see it as part of life, and that's okay. So those are the three main attachment styles. Now, the last one sometimes is termed anxious avoidant. That has kind of a combination or disorganized, which is a little bit more severe because it has the signs of the anxious and the avoidant, and it goes back and forth. And people have a lot of difficulty with that sometimes. And that is one that you kind of want to focus on, looking at it from a perspective of treating both the anxious and the avoidant to try to find some balance. So those are kind of a nutshell of what these things are. We want to get more into more detail about maybe what causes them. You might look at my developmental trauma series, which is similar and kind of shows some other basis of these kinds of development issues. But we're going to kind of get more into what's going on in the brain and how we can kind of regulate the attachment system a little bit better, make better choices in our relationships, and heal some of those traumatic events that may have happened in our past. So thanks for sticking with me. Please, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and also feel free to connect with me on the website if you need some personal coaching or some ideas about how to determine your own attachment style and how to determine your partner's attachment style. So thanks and have a great day. Let me know how I can help.